Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabe. I welcome you to Vegetative Reproduction in Bulbs, Onions. Bulbs consist of a very short stem with enclosed packed leaves arranged in concentric circles around the stem. So we are looking at bulbs, and we are saying that the bulbs, they consist of a very short stem with enclosed packed leaves arranged in concentric circle around the stem. So let us look at our structure here. It's going to give us a framework of a bulb. At the bottom here, we can see some roots. Then there is a disc-like structure down here. That is the stem. That is the stem of a bulb. Then in the middle, we have a tube going through. That tube is the flower stalk. That is the flower stalk. Now, in the middle here, you have this structure which is surrounding the flower stalk. That is the second leaf. Then we have this one outside. This one is the first leaf. Then we have this structure which we have outside, which is like a glass. This one outside. This is the cylindrical sheath formed from bud scale. So we have the other cylindrical base of the first leaf, then the cylindrical base of the second leaf. So you will see that here they have the first leaf outside and then the second leaf inside. So what is happening is that whatever leaf that is formed goes outside. Now when we have a third leaf, now a third leaf will be inside the second leaf. That's where our third leaf will be inside. And the cylinder of the third leaf will be inside the second leaf. So the leaves grow going outside. So that is the framework of a bulb. Bulbs consist of a very short stem with closely packed leaves arranged in concentric circles around the stem. So now we are looking at the real bulb. This one here is our stem. This one is our stem. Now we have, let's start with this one outside, because this one was one of the first leaves. This is a scale leaf, leaf base 2, year 2 old. This one is year 2 old, this leaf which is outside. It is a scale leaf, but it is year 2. Now we have last year's leaf base. Now this one was for last year. That means that it has 1 year. It is for last year's base. And then now we have inside here, this will form next year's leaves, meaning that these are the new leaves that we are forming now. These are the new leaves that are inside. Now these ones that come next, those ones were last year's leaves. Then the one outside was 2 years old, a leaf 2 years old, and now it has become a scale leaf. It is covering the other young leaves inside. Then inside we have the flower buds. The flower buds inside, the one inside. And then here we have a bud which will be next year's terminal bud. This one will be next year's terminal bud. And then this one here is the lateral bud. So you can see that we have a stem down. And in the middle of the stem, we have a flower stalk. This flower stalk is the one in the middle. And it was originally a terminal bud. Now it forms a flower stalk, a flower buds inside. Now here they will develop another bud which will become next year's terminal bud, which will form now a flower stalk for next year, that bud. Now we have the lateral bud here. This lateral bud now will form a daughter bulb. It will form another bulb. Now, as the leaves go on becoming older, they go on going outside, and the younger ones are formed inside on the new buds. Now, the ones which are outside, they will become dry, and we shall call them scale leaves, which cover the whole bulb. These leaves are swollen with stored food. And an example we are giving the onion. So the leaves that we are seeing here, when they manufacture food from these upper leaves, the food comes and then is stored in this base of the leaves and they swell. They are swelling because they are storing food. So the bulbs will store their food in the leaves. Terminal buds will produce next year's flowering shoot. And the lateral, or what we call auxiliary buds, these ones will produce a new plant. So we were looking here and we were saying that there is a terminal bud, this one here in the middle. It is the one that will produce next year's flowering shoot. Next year's flowering shoot will be from this one. And then we have a lateral bud. A lateral bud is this one, which is here, which is growing from out here. This lateral bud now will produce a new plant. It will produce a new plant, or what we call a daughter plant. Here we have new leaves and flowers grow using food stored in last year's leaf base. So here, there are these leaves which were for last year. These leaves which were for last year are the ones now that are going to provide nutrient to the new developing leaves, the young developing leaves. They will take away the nutrients from last year's leaves and they will use those nutrients. Now, when the nutrients are removed away, now these ones, of course, will dry and now they will become scale leaves to cover the outer part of the bulb. And then the food will be transferred to the new developing leaves which are inside. In the daffodil bulb, adventitious roots, they grow out of the stem, and the leaves begin to grow above the ground, making use of the stored food in the fleshy leaves base, which consequently she leaves. So we are having the adventitious roots. Our adventitious roots are here and they are growing out of the stem. And as they are growing out of the stems, we also have the new leaves. You have the new leaves here growing. The young leaves here, you can see them growing. Now, these young leaves and the adventitious roots, they are going to use the food that has been stored in the fresh leaf base. Now you have this leaf base here, which is storing food. This leaf base here that are storing food. So the food is going to be removed from these leaf bases of these old leaves, and it will be taken up by the adventitious roots. They will use it, and the rest will be taken by the new fresh developing flower or leaves. So you can see that the nutrients are coming from the old leaves and then they are entering the new fresh leaves and also entering into the adventitious roots. The food made in the leaves in the daffodil is sent to the leaf base, which swell and form new bulbs inside the old ones. Now here we have our new leaves. The new leaves outside here, they have now developed, and these leaves are making food. Now when they make food, that food is going to travel to the leaf base. It will come down to the leaf base, and then when it comes to the leaf base is going to swell, and as it swells, it starts forming the new bulbs. Now here we have last year's fresh leaves which are shivering once the food has been used. Now these were the big swollen leaves last year, but their food nutrients was used by the new leaves. It was taken up by the new leaves, therefore they reduced in their size, which we are calling the shlivo. Now these leaves will now, the new leaves, when they have matured, they will now start manufacturing their own food. They will start manufacturing food because now they are mature. And when they manufacture that food, now that food will be brought down and they will be start swelling at the base. The leaves will start swelling at the base. Now when they start swelling at the base, now they are forming a new bulb, a bulb for this year, which is inside the old bulb. In tulip bulb and onion bulb, food is not sent to the leaf base, but to the lateral buds. Now that one is in the tulip and the onion. When food is manufactured up, when it is manufactured up, the food is going to be sent to the lateral bud. It will not be put in the base, leaf base. So when the food is produced, it will be brought to the lateral bud. And in the lateral bud here, it is where it's going to be utilized. As these buds enlarge, they form two or more daughter bulbs inside the old bulb. So now, when the nutrients are coming from the leaves, they are going to be sent into the bulbs. And these bulbs now will form large bulbs inside the old bulb. So here we have the foliage above the ground, they go on dying off, and we have last year's withered leaf base form new scale leaves. These are now the scale leaves, they were for last year's base. Now we have the daughter bulb. The daughter bulb is this one now. Now all the food that is made in the foliage is going to be sent to the daughter bulb, which is going to swell inside the original bulb, and it forms a new bulb. The leaves in the older bulb shrivel and dry out, forming dry scales which surrounds the daughter bulbs. So we have the leaves of the old, these leaves of the old bulb. They will lose their nutrients and food to the new bulbs, and they will start to dry out. And when they dry out, they form the dry scale leaves, which are going to surround the new daughter bulbs. In both cases, when the daughter bulbs grow, they form a clump together with the parent bulbs. Now, when the daughter bulb is formed, this one here, it does not break away, but it forms a clump, like a collection, together with the parent bulb. They come together and they form a group which we are calling a clump with the parent bulb. Hello, thank you very much for participating in vegetative reproduction in bulbs, especially the onions. Please do like, share, and subscribe.